My name is Max Cant. I'm the art director on Bodycount. Single-player story campaigns or playthrough, you'll get 17 missions over multiple stages, I think it's like 13 stages, and you'll play through several real-world locations, and you'll be fighting against 2 different warring factions usually in most of the real-world locations. But in addition to those factions, you'll begin through story exposition and hints and tips and working things out for yourself. You'll begin to discover like technically a fifth, but a third faction in the world. That's Target, and the Target rather, and they're like the big bad of the game. They're quite clearly super high-tech, Machiavellian, evil manipulators that are heralding in some kind of awful new dawn for mankind that nobody wants to see. So really, it's all about a big war of attrition against them towards the end of it. The co-op experience for the game is 2-player co-op online. We didn't want to split the screen because we want to maintain full sort of awareness and full fidelity destruction all around players. Those stages are unique to the co-op play mode, so you're not just on rails going through the same game with slightly tougher guys and another friend. So it's the best way to sort of describe co-op quickly is it's a bit like Zulu. So it's you and Michael Caine versus the world. You're in these sort of high fidelity shredding arenas where you'll spend like longer time within those environments, so you'll see the full power of the shredding environment. To say a good way to describe it would be things are going to get pretty drafty in some of the buildings towards the end of it because we've got no walls left. The other thing as well is with the co-op mode as opposed to single player, the way we deal with intel, that's the currency of the game really that affords you upgrades. The way that we deal with that is that we ramp up the amount of reward system that you're getting. So we're constantly giving you the highest grade of intel. So kind of kid in a candy store, you're going to be able to select from far broader range of guns quicker than you would in the regular single player. And you spend the intel on that, which is unique to co-op. Or you can choose to go down the more conventional route and using your operative support button, call in things like NAM-style carpet bombing from UAV drone, or any number of other stuff like overclocked ammo or explosive ammunition, radar, adrenaline, invincibility and stuff. But that in turn, those stages differ from the multiplayer things, which are again sort of inspired by and derived from the same world locations, but are again different areas that you play in, and that's again like showcasing the destruction. But the difference for the multiplayer to the single player in the co-op is that because you're playing other viciously minded human beings, they're going to really exploit the tactical advantage of like moving through what's kind of like a kaleidoscopic environment for destruction. So you're going to keep an eye in the back of your head for people making holes and shooting you through stuff. So as the currency of the game, the intel fills up a meter or a dial that you have in the bottom left on your HUD, and you can choose when to burn that down and on what and when to stop. So it's kind of like infinite. Well, it's like a vial of stuff that goes down. There are 3 grades of intel that you get in the game. The first one is blue. That's just from standard kills. That's when there's nothing fancy. It's kind of cowboy town. You see a guy, shoot a guy. That's all you get for that. If you do it with a little bit more flair and you decide to shoot him through a wall, because we incentivize people to drill through stuff instead of waiting for that. Here I am, a duck hunt whack-a-mole thing. You'll get the yellow one, and that's the 2nd grade. And we refer to that sort of stuff as a skill kill. So you killed somebody with skill. If you have a run of those, you're lucky enough to, or skilled enough rather, to kill enough of those guys in a chain, then you'll be rewarded with green intel. And the green intel will really push that bar up. So that the more of that you do, the better it is, because then you can call in the stuff like the airstrike, or you can use EMP weapon, like pulse wave type stuff. Now, what that also does is that combines with the body count, your overall body count, and that gives you a grading that's additive to your body count grade, which you receive at the end of the stage, and that's like an online leaderboard score thing for crowing rights and replay value. I think the specific main was that we wanted to come to the sort of table, as it were, for first-person shooter genre with something that offered a different feel to it. We were looking at everything that was there. And I mean, we've got a lot of people that have worked on a lot of shooters and stuff that make up the team across all three Codemasters sites. And we wanted to do something different. We didn't want to do like another sort of like grey, desaturated world with a couple of color filters on it where things were taken a bit too seriously. So we wanted fun to be really important, and to do that we just really absolutely like empowered the gun to like the nth degree. So we're putting stuff in like massive bullet decals where people are more worried about real engagements in military stuff or about that size. So yeah, we wanted to do something different. And for me, from the art direction point of view, it was important to do a game that it looked like it was handcrafted by artists. So it's, like I said before, that it's an arcade game. It's like we're definitely out there to make old school sensibilities arcade game. It's fun. We're not trying to do a documentary.
I noticed there's no iron sight in the game. What was the reason for not going the iron sight route?
Well, we had a lot of different reasons for doing it, and it's sort of turned out to be slightly controversial compared to some of the other more sort of passive elements of the stuff that we've got. I think the main reason for not wanting to do the iron sights thing is that it's not hard to do it. You just put the model there. But that's the trouble, is that a lot of first-person shooters, the camera is mounted in the chest, and having a gun right in the middle of the thing, even if you offset it slightly, it just looks too weird a lot of the time. It looks kind of like you're looking down at the bridge of a Star Destroyer or a ship or something. So we were kind of going from the idea that a lot of the time you're laying your head on the side of the gun here. So that's why we've got like depth of field's out of focus on this side of the gun, moving it into the edge there. And it works quite nicely as well with a half pull. Our lean mechanic is activated by a full pull on the left trigger and then leaning on the stick, which is a nice fluid way of doing it. But a half pull means that you can continue to traverse, and if you were continuing to traverse with this thing, you'd feel like either a Dalek or a compass. It wouldn't look right. So we wanted to try something different.
This week it was Mike Capps, the Epic president, was talking about Bulletstorm. It's a very similar kind of game, single player orientated, with quite crazy, over the top, new IP shooter, and it didn't meet their expectations to kind of break even. Are you worried about kind of releasing in this volatile market where it's either Call of Duty or bust?
No, I'm not really worried about it. I think that there's a lot of room for selling a different experience. I mean, I don't know sales figures on other projects, and I also don't know the cost of them, relevant to what they did. I think for first-person shooter genre, I think that the experience that we're selling with Bodycount, it's pretty intuitive. It's pretty good fun. I think it's different. So I think you could play. You could have more of a background in regular first-person shooters and pick up Bodycount and find that there's everything that you're hoping for, in terms of like gameplay style there. But we're doing other interesting innovations. I don't know. I mean, maybe other stuff's just too much of a departure from a conventional first-person shooter market for some folk to swallow. I'm not sure.
Do you think, I mean, obviously you guys have multiplayer, which is something that Bulletstorm didn't really have, like competitive multiplayer. Do you think that's important in a shooter these days?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have a competitive multiplayer. I mean, most of the stuff that I've played in the past that's not had it, we found it sort of lacking. So we set up our multiplayer sort of situation to try and push as many people as we could into it, but not to do it at the expense of the shredding, the tactical gameplay in the environment. So say earlier on we had some questions from people where folks said, well, how come we haven't got more than 12 people? It's just like, when you put that much destruction into a world, having 12 people is pretty impressive. You're not going to, they can only kill so many people at once. I don't necessarily think that about co-op. I mean, it's not, but that's just a personal opinion. It's not something that I don't go and specifically hunt down a game that has co-op. The things for me is that it's got to have a strong single player thing, because that's going to be the easiest time. You want the instant pickup to be instantly rewarding. I don't want to have to mess around with a whole bunch of superfluous stuff I don't care about. But the next thing for me is the multiplayer. It's got to have, I've got to be able to kill a real person like online and enjoy, like laughing at the way that I've killed them. So there's a lot of that with the destructible environment, sneaking up behind people, tap a little. I used to do the thing where tap a little hole in the wall, the plasterboard wall, just put a gun through it, and shoot people from there. But then you get killed by somebody else. So.
And how did Stuart Black leaving the team affect the game and the team and kind of the way you went forward with the game?
So I mean, it wasn't like catastrophic sort of waving arms in the air type panic station situation. I mean, he has his own reasons for pursuing different stuff that he wants to do now, and all power to him. Hope it works out well for him. But what we we didn't really change much. We had the core stuff. We went to E3, well, before last E3, with what we were going to do. It's one of the stages we're showing today. But between that time and now, what we've done is delivered against the kind of stake that we stuck in the stand for that. And we've added other stuff that, you know, rewards and incentivizes the player for just killing people in a better way. So, I mean, I think like any game takes a lot of people to make it. And whilst you have a figurehead and a spokesperson, it's about the game itself, not about just one kind of person. But definitely he added a lot to the situation. I worked with him. I worked with him before at Criterion on Black, and I dare say I'll work with him again and be happy to do so. Bodycount is out September the 2nd in European territories and slightly earlier in US.